We're going to talk about two different ways to calculate surface area of composite objects. So method one, you can calculate the surface area of the object separately, then add these two surface areas together, and finally find the area of overlap and subtract this from the total. So let's do that method for this question. So my surface area for the top rectangular prism would be 2 length times width plus 2 length times height plus 2 width times height. So this would be 2 times 10 times 5 plus 2 times 10 times 3 plus 2 times 5 times 3. So this gives me 100 plus 60 plus 30, so that's 190 meters squared. The surface area for this cylinder is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h times the height. So this gives me 2 times pi. The radius is actually 2 on this one again, plus 2 times pi times a radius of 2 times a height of 6. So this would be 2 times pi times 2 times 2, 25.1 plus 2 times pi times 2 times 6, which is 75.4. So you will get approximately 100.5 meters squared as surface area for that. So the total surface area would equal 190 plus 100.5 minus my area of overlap. Now the area of overlap is going to be a circle like this, only 2 of them because it's the top of the cylinder and it's on the bottom of the rectangular prism. So what's that? That's going to be is 2 times the area of one circle, which is pi r squared. That number is actually going to be the same as this one right here, is the 25.1. So 190 plus 100.5 minus 25.1. And what that gives you is 265.4 meters squared. So that's method one of doing them separately, finding the area of overlap and subtracting that off the end. Method two is you can change the formulas to make it applicable to your question. So let's say I ask you, what's the surface area of the outside of this barrel? So not the top or the bottom or the inside, just the outside. So normally my surface area formula for a cylinder is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. But in this question, it's actually only asking you for the curved surface. So that would be this area right here, not the circles. Well, this part of the formula represents the top and the bottom, but the question doesn't ask you for that. So we're just going to cancel off that part and just use this. That would give us the surface area of the outside. Let's do a couple more examples. The skyscraper is 50 meters high, 15 meters wide, and 10 meters long. What is the area of windows to be cleaned? Roof and floor not included. So if I were to find the surface area of this rectangular prism, it would be 2 length times width plus 2 length times height plus 2 width times height. Now I'm not going to count the floor and the roof because it says they're not included. So what I can actually cancel out is this entire part of the formula, and just making sure I use the proper dimensions. This would be 2 times length times height, so 15 times 50 plus 2 times 10 times 50. So I have to make sure I exclude the proper part of that formula. I don't want to do the length and the width of the top and the bottom. So I can calculate this out. I get 1,500 plus 1,000, which equals 2,500 meters squared. So let's do one example of putting it all together. So I have a cube on a triangular prism. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my formula for my triangular prism, which is surface area equals 2 times the base times height divided by 2 plus length times width plus length times width plus length times width. So my 2's cancel. My base and height are 10 and 5, so 10 times 5. That's of this triangle right here. My rectangles on that are going to have a length of 8, so 8. The bottom would be 8 times 10 plus 8 times, this one would be 8 times 12 plus 8 times this side, which would be 8 times 5. So what that gives me is 50 plus 80 plus 96 plus 40. And total that up. And I get 266 meters squared. That's just for the triangular prism. Now, instead of adding 6 sides of my cube, I know each side is 6, I can adjust that formula. So normally, the surface area of a cube would be 6 times length times width, because there's 6 equal sides. In this case, my area of overlap would be that square, but 2 of those squares, one on the top of the triangular prism, one on the bottom of the cube. So I'm going to change this, and I'm only going to make it 4 length times width. And that takes into account my area of overlap. So this would be 4 times 6 times 6. And that gives me 144 meters squared. So my total surface area would equal 266 meters squared plus 144 meters squared. And I would get 410 meters squared. So that's how you can find surface area.